Hi, welcome to the Coffee Chat Show here on Buzzin Pattaya, the show where we talk about things that are happening right here, right now, as well as general news, tips, information and advice. Now, joining me today on the Coffee Chat Show is Adam. Adam, how you doing, man?
I'm good, man.
It's great to have you here. Thank you so much indeed. Now, for those of you who don't know who Adam is responsible for the Pattaya News, and you might know Adam more commonly as AJ, but for today, we're going to be Adam. Is that right?
That's fine.
He's good with that. Good. Now, so before we get into the Pattaya News and other bits and pieces, tell me a bit about yourself. Where are you originally from?
I am from, I'm American, and I usually say Washington, D.C., but I was actually born in New Hampshire. And I spent some time, I don't know how well you know America, but just for people watching, spent some time in Florida, Texas, and D.C., but I've lived here in Pattaya for 8 years early next year.
Wow. So from America to Pattaya.
Yep. When
you were younger, I'm guessing you didn't expect to be here?
When I was younger, I thought I was going to be an astronaut, but that didn't work out. So instead of going to the moon, I went 7,000 miles or whatever it is overseas and came right here to Pattaya. And by the way, some of you guys probably do know me, and on a lot of the news interviews, I tend to be more, I guess, professional, but I'm going to try to be more casual a little bit here so you guys can get to know me a little bit. Those of you who may not know, before we get into news stuff. So.
There you go. See, I'm bringing out the softer side of him.
That's fine.
So, young lad in America, what did you when you left school, what did you do? What was your career highlights? Where were you
kind of ironic. Those who know me have seen this before and have seen it on interviews, but I spent 15 years working, of all things, to come to Pattaya in HR for Best Buy.
Oh, wow.
I spent a little bit of time at Best Buy in operations management and sales management, but most of it was mainly people and resources and human resources.
So always been into people, handling like people problems.
Correct. And I was a good HR guy. For those of you guys who know HR, there's a good and a bad side.
Yeah.
There's the guys who fire everybody, and there's my side, which was hiring, training, development, promotion. It's why I'm not shy. And anybody that's met me knows I'm not shy, because I used to do trainings in front of hundreds, if not 1,000 plus people.
Brilliant.
So that kind of helped me in Pattaya as well.
I must admit, HR, it's always one of those, you've got the HR discipline,
that's why,
and then you've got the HR administration side, and you think, where am I going to there? And they're like, discipline officer. Oh no, man, really?
No, I was a good guy. Now, like anybody in HR, I did have times where I had to be the bad guy, or I did have to let people go, and honestly, I did not enjoy that part of my job. But
so when was the first time you came to Pattaya?
First time I came here was over a decade ago in 2010. I came during Songkran. We'll get to in a minute of why I came to Pattaya.
Yeah.
But I came during Songkran. I'm a Songkran fan, by the way. I like it. I know it's such a divisive topic. I can already see the comments. I hate it. So that's fine. I enjoy it personally. If you hate it, up to you. But my first Songkran, I didn't know it was Songkran. I just booked for April, and I did no research about Songkran.
Okay.
I step out of my hotel and somebody throws a bucket of water in my face, and I'm dressed real nicely. My passport, like a good tourist, is in my pocket, and I'm soaking wet. And I'm like, why did is this some cultural thing? So I go back, I change, and I'm hit with another bucket of water. And finally, I figured it out, and I came every Songkran for about 7 or 8 years after that. I've been here for every single Songkran, either as a tourist or living here since 2010. Of course, the last two have been basically acts.
Yeah.
And the next one, we'll talk later about the future, but the next one I think is going to happen.
Yeah, I agree. I think the next one will happen. I mean, in terms of Songkran, I've got to say though, like you just explained there, it's hilarious where people don't actually understand what Songkran is. And then of course, like you say, you open your door, bosh, you're thinking, flipping hell, mate, like what's that all about? And then before you can turn around, you've got another one coming in.
It's one of those things that's love or hate. And I'm sure we'll see it on the comments. Many people just absolutely despise it, and especially if you're not a drinker, if you're not which I am on my social time.
Sure.
If you're not a party guy, if you don't like crowds and that sort of thing, you're gonna hate it.
Yeah.
But if you're okay with that, most of those people usually like Songkran. Yes, the ice water is a absolute, but it is what it is.
I must admit, over the years, I've lived here now 10 years, and I have to say, it is gradually wearing thin on me now. I don't mind the 18 and 19, the two big days.
That's the thing I hear from almost everybody, is even the guys who hate it, usually say they enjoy the 19th.
Yeah.
For those of you who may not be as aware, the 19th is basically for those of you who know America, is a big wet Mardi Gras. It's the craziest day of the year in Pattaya, generally, or minus COVID, when every business, everybody parties, they shut down the whole road. That day is fun. But yes, it's the 9 days in advance of that a lot of people don't like.
Yeah, I think. And also, the one thing I tend to not really enjoy that much is when you get to what should be the 6 p.m., 7 p.m. cutoff, that just never happens. You know,
it was better in 2019 and 18. It was better. Like in the bar areas on Soy 6 and Soy 7, police were coming around and were actually just dumping out the barrels of water and enforcing it. But you still have people on side streets or going around in trucks throwing it.
So when you first came to Pattaya, I mean, what was your expectations? You know, we've all got, I remember my first ever trip and you were expecting this, but that happened. I mean, for yourself, what was it like?
So not only was my first trip to Pattaya, you know, obviously my first trip here, but it was also my first time ever leaving America. Wow. So why I came to Thailand? The easiest way to say this is I was 29, I'm 40 now. I was 29, about to turn 30, and I was having whatever you want to call it, a quarter life crisis, borderline, or coming on midlife, that I had never left America, I had never traveled anywhere. And I guess I was bored. I had a good job in America. I was making great money working for Best Buy, but I was single, still single now, no children, same as now. Thank goodness.
That you know of.
that I know of. And honestly, I was just kind of bored. And so I was looking at destinations and places to go. And yes, the party atmosphere of Pattaya was a big draw. I'll be 100% honest about it, like many people when they first come here. Like many, I first wanted to come to Bangkok because I didn't know about Pattaya until I found Pattaya Addicts. Back in the day, as a big messenger forum, I became a prominent member on it. I don't post much there anymore, but I used to a lot. That's how myself and Brian Flowers met. That's a whole different story.
Sure.
But anyways, so I found Pattaya Addicts when people were suggesting, oh, you shouldn't go to Bangkok if you want to party. You should go to Pattaya. And so there you have it. Back Songkran of 2010, I booked a ticket within about 3 weeks. Got my first passport. I got it very fast in America. And jumped on a plane. I spent a couple days in Japan just to see it, which was okay, but boring. And then came here, and I was being hit by buckets of water shortly after.
So, forgive me if I've got this wrong. So, when you went on to the route to get here, you looked at different options. Thought, right, well, I'll go to the nightlife in Pattaya. Did you fully understand about the whole depth of the nightlife? Were you fully aware about the concept with the girls, etc.?
I was pretty aware.
You knew, you knew what you were coming to. Okay. Because I was just thinking to myself, well, yeah, you know, they got nightclubs and that thing. Suddenly you got like all these girls getting wet, etc.
No, I knew about that, and quite honestly, I'd spent a lot of time. I've always been a guy who's enjoyed nightlife and atmosphere, so I spent a lot of time in, quite honestly, both strip clubs, nightclubs, entertainment sectors, from Tampa, Florida, to DC, to Miami. I've actually never been to Vegas, though, but I spent a lot of time in those places, and I'd seen everything, so I kind of wanted to see it from different countries. What I didn't spend time on was researching anything about Thailand. Like I just spent time researching the party atmosphere and where to stay as a hotel. But I did get that culture shock of going into a 7-Eleven and being like, what is this freaking seaweed chip? I've never even heard of this. Or seeing stuff like, okay, I'll have this not spicy, taking one bite out of it and freaking losing my tongue.
So can you eat spice now?
Yeah.
You're getting better.
I'm better.
I mean, I suppose one of the questions I really want to ask you as well is, and a lot of people watching this will be able to relate to this. You come here to Pattaya for the first time, you experience what it's so very well known for. You go back and then you try to relate your stories and your experiences back to your mates back in America. And they're sitting there going, Adam, do you think like we're going to believe what you're trying to tell us? I mean, how did your friends interact with your stories?
Well, it probably helps that I didn't really have that many close friends. Working in HR, so I had a lot of like casual friends, but working at HR and at work, it was actually like the perfect occupation for this, because at least at Best Buy, you're as an HR person, you're really discouraged from hanging out or socializing with your employees, period. So, you know, what I did on vacation was kind of up to me, so to speak. So I didn't lie and say that I didn't go to Thailand. I certainly did, but I wasn't really, you know, I wasn't really like, oh my God, I went there, I did this. People said, what did you do? I said, I went there to get as far away from America as humanly possible for a holiday, so I didn't have to be called in for work. And that was the truth too.
And it worked. And it worked.
Yeah.
You've been here now a long time. I mean, I'm guessing, have you traveled around Thailand much?
I barely get out of Pattaya. It's a running joke for my friends here. I do have friends now that I don't really like traveling. When I first came to Pattaya, it wasn't just for Pattaya and Thailand and partying. I kind of had this thought process that I was going to do a lot of traveling. And I did end up going to Korea for a little while, and I've been to Laos on a visa run. But that's about it. I quickly found out that although I came here on holiday about a dozen times, I think it was 13, and I took that long flight from America, including for as little as 7 days. I often came for only a week due to work, and it was still worth it.
That's commitment.
But I don't like traveling. I really don't. I didn't even like, quite honestly, coming to this studio today, and that's a 5-minute taxi drive. And it's just because I work from home most days, and we'll get to that on the news portion. And I just found it's not laziness, because I walk about 10 kilometers a day, but I just found that I don't really like traveling.
So when you're here, I mean, what is it that makes Pattaya so special to you that's made you give up your American life and come out here? And obviously now, you know, with the Pattaya news, which we'll talk about a lot more detail in part 2, what was it about Pattaya and Thailand that said to you, come and stay here?
It's a lot of things, and I know a lot of guys would probably say, well, it's not just the girls, and obviously that's a big thing for a lot of people, but it wasn't the big decisive mark for me. Why Pattaya? Well, number one, I hate cold weather. I despise. If I never see snow again in my entire life, it would be too soon. That's how much I despise snow. So the temperature, it's very much like Florida here. You'll notice I'm wearing jeans. And most guys here don't wear jeans, but you know, it's still comfortable to me, and it's not a big deal. So the weather, I don't like driving, I don't like traveling. I quickly found when I left America, again, speaking of cold weather, if I never have to drive a car again, Brian hates this, by the way, it would also be too soon. I just don't enjoy driving. So the fact that Pattaya and Jomtien, it's so easy to get around. There's motorbike taxi drivers everywhere. There's bot buses everywhere. There's everything you would need. It's still easy to get up to Bangkok and stuff normally, not during COVID, with public transportation. So I wanted to live somewhere that was easily walkable. I do like to walk, as mentioned, and easily getting around. So that was another big thing and another big advantage. I love the beach. I love the ocean. I don't swim much anymore, but occasionally I do.
Yeah.
And contrary to belief, there are areas you can swim in here. Jomtien Beach is perfectly fine.
Yeah.
So that was a big part of it. I think the other part of it is when we're out of COVID, and this was the biggest thing. Over all the girls, partying, nightlife, temperature, food, ease of transportation, the number one reason that I said, you know what, I think Pattaya is going to be my home, is because when you're out of COVID and you got tourists and it's going to come back, even for the guys who say it's not going to come back, it is going to come back. It is just a carnival, pardon my language, shit show every day. You can sit down on Beach Road during tourism time and see absolutely everything on the planet Earth. It is a free show everywhere you go.
Yeah,
it is such a melting pot. I've often told people that even with 15 years in HR, I have learned more about people, diversity, culture, and different backgrounds and nationalities in my time here in Pattaya than I ever learned back working for Best Buy. And that's really what drew it to me, is the fact that one day you can be hanging out with a bunch of guys from Dubai, and the next day you can be doing shots of vodka with Russians. And you never know what's going to happen during tourism times. And so that's really what sold it for me.
I must admit, I agree. I mean, coming from London, so obviously I'm used to like tourists, and I'm used to a lot of people, hustle and bustle. But like you just said then, and it's a really good point, that when you come here, you literally are bumping into people from all manner of aspects in different ways of life, different work, different nationalities, and it's just a mixed bag. You know, every day you go out, you just genuinely don't know. You know, you'll bump into some random person, and suddenly you'll strike up a conversation, be it being in a bar or whatever. You know, when things were back to normal, and you know, you suddenly think, wow, you know, like, you're from where? Oh, you do this, and oh man. But I think it's what makes Pattaya so colourful. I think it makes it so enjoyable. You've mentioned a lot there, Adam, about all the things that came in that you know were positives. In terms of living here now, what was probably the hardest thing you found to adjust to? That when you first got here, you thought, okay, I'm enjoying the beach, I'm enjoying the swimming, I like my walking, I like meeting all these different people. What's been the one thing that you think, oh man, this drives me nuts? What's been the hardest thing for you to adapt to?
It's not an issue now with all the businesses closed due to COVID, but the hardest thing, and this is the hardest thing for most people, is being able to work and make a living here without being distracted, because it's a city full of distractions when everything's open. For me, it wasn't as hard as most people, but that's what I've seen most people struggle with. As stated, I work from home most of the time, and for me, it's still a 10-hour work day on average, if not more. But getting to the point where, hey, Adam, hey, do you want to go out for a drink? Hey, AJ, we have this big bar crawl going on. Do you want to join us for one drink, which becomes 15 shots?
There's no such thing as one drink.
There's no such thing as one drink. And I used to run bars for years, and we could talk about that a little bit before I got into the news. And that aspect of it started to drain on me. It's part of the reason I got out of the bar business, because there's always a birthday. There's always an anniversary. Yeah. There's always an opening party or some sort of party or event, and it gets to the point where it becomes almost exhausting. You're like scheduling going to parties and events and never ending going out, and that aspect of it started to become difficult for me, because I felt like I was letting people down by not going to this party or that event.
Sure.
Eventually I kind of shut out going to almost all events and parties, which didn't help either, but it was that was difficult for me, is that the never-ending social pressure. And last but not least, I'm not perfect, but I've done pretty well at staying out of drama, especially legal drama or any sort of problems here. But being that the city is such a melting pot with people from so many different cultures and backgrounds and diversity, there's a lot of conflicts here. And it's a very small town, and there's a lot of people that have this problem with this person, and that part of the bar business really got to me. Since being in the news, I rarely get that now, and life is a lot better.
Well, we're going to touch a lot on the news in part 2, and that's pretty much what I want to only talk about in part 2. Before we finish off on this one, what I want to do is just ask you another question as well. Is you mentioned earlier about the nightlife and about going out and enjoying yourself, and obviously it's taken its toll over a period of time. But you did do a fair few bar crawls, didn't you?
I became well known for that. Through Pattaya City on my holidays, I used to really, some of you guys watching this might have gone on one of my bar crawls. I did all sorts of bar crawls, some Songkran annual, I called it the Wet and Wild crawl. I've done bar crawls as little as 5 or 6 people, and I've had over 60. That was an absolute nightmare.
Oh, 60?
60.
How did you do that?
We split it into 2 groups, and hey, you're going to this go-go, and you're going to this one.
60 people?
I enjoy, something I did back running a bar was I had a thing called Newbie Wednesdays, where every Wednesday I invited new people on their first trip to Pattaya or first couple of trips who were really nervous about the city or wanted to ask questions about anything from girls, nightlife, how to get around, etc. And a lot of those bar crawls came from those Newbie Wednesdays, which became a huge success for me in the bar, because I genuinely enjoy seeing the look on people's face when they walk into
the windmill.
The windmill was the first thing, for the first time. And they're like, what the fuck? And a lot of guys, when they come here, tend to get into trouble, especially guys that easily fall for women, and guys that immediately fall in love. I'm not that type, so that was never an issue for me, but a lot of guys are. So I spent a lot of time helping out those guys, and that's kind of where the bar crawls took place. I ran bar crawls twice a month. I ran lots of gentleman bar club crawls, walking street crawls. I even did crazy stuff, like we did a Boys Town crawl one time, just to kind of give people laughs.
That's brilliant. So here's a question for you then, Adam. You've done a lot of bar crawls. You've been there. You've seen it. You've got the T-shirt, etc., etc. There's a guy that's watching this now, never been here before, and he's about to arrive, and we're going to go fast forward now.
Hopefully not right now.
Well, we're going to go fast forward now. So we're going to fast forward now, and everything's open, and it's all back to normal, and the new normal, and everything's back as it was. Where would you take him? Where would be the one place that you say, son, you are definitely going to go to this go-go bar or gentleman's club, whichever one you want to choose. Where would you take him and why? And remember, this is a general audience.
Probably the first thing, that's not an easy question, because when I ran Newbie Wednesdays, I tried to feel people out. You've got guys who are big talkers and obviously would mix very well in places like myself, who are not shy. But most of the guys I met were usually more introverted and were usually more, well, I don't know. So if you bring them into the windmill or something like that, they get freaked out. They don't know how to react. They sit in a corner and they get shy. So generally, like those guys, I would bring to a gentleman club first, a place where usually the music is more toned down, where I know the staff is more proactive versus reactive. A lot of guys, you would bring them into somewhere like one of the big go-go's on Walking Street, where you need to pull the girl over, and a lot of new guys just won't do that because they're afraid of it, or they're afraid of women, or they've had some sort of struggle. But for the guys who aren't afraid, I would immediately, like if I met somebody like yourself who I can see is a social person, isn't afraid to say, hey, drink for you, drink for you, drink for you. Yes, I'll bring them to somewhere like the Windmill. But most new guys I usually brought to lower key bars, like gentlemen clubs. On Soy 6, I'm going to try to stay away from saying Nightwish group because of my past of work. So I don't want any sort of people say, oh, he's just saying it because he worked for them. A non-Nightwish bar, I used to bring people to Ruby Club on a regular basis on Soy 6. Gentlemen clubs, I'd bring them out to Pirate Bar out of Soy Bangkok was a regular area from there. So just kind of mixing people around.
One question, one answer.
Yep.
Windmill, kink.
I like the music better at Kink. You don't go there for the music, but Kink plays really good in the upstairs area, kind of like minimal and house style music. It's something that you don't hear anywhere else in Pattaya normally. So I would go probably say Kink.
Kink. And if you believe him about the music, then you've never been to Kink.
It actually, not only does it have great music, it has like this elevator thing that goes up and down.
Doesn't it just? That's a lift from heaven, that, isn't it?
Yes.
Well, listen, Adam, it's been fantastic talking to you. In part 2, guys, we're going to talk about a more serious side and what Adam's pretty much now full-time doing. Is it full-time now, pretty much?
It's
more than full-time.
Double full-time, yeah.
So we're going to talk about the Pattaya news and about how Adam finds his content, the problems that he's had with the news, etc. He's got his finger on the pulse. We're going to talk about the future of Pattaya. I know some of you guys keep saying it's done, it's dusted. We disagree, and we're going to tell you why in the future on Friday's interview. So, my friend, thank you so much for today.
Holla.
Thank you very much indeed. Guys, I will put a link to the Pattaya news. Check it out, okay? The video's coming out on Friday where Adam is going to explain all about what he does and how it works and all the things that he has to take into consideration. We'll be back on Friday. So that's it from us, guys. So as always, please remember, hit the subscribe button and also the bell icon if you'd like to be notified when we bring out a new video. Check out our members area. We've got more and more members now each and every day joining. And when things are resumed and places are back open and restaurants and hotels and bars, trust me, you are going to get a lot of benefits from your membership here on the Buzzin channel. And guys, join our Discord group. We've got over something crazy now, like 3,500-600 people on there. It's just going mad. So come and join the party and come and join the fun. It's a great resource if you need some information. All right, that's it from us, guys. Thank you very much for watching. And please, wherever you are in the world, stay safe.